My name is Mandeep Chahal, and I'm a recent college graduate. I'm also undocumented, and I want to share some tips and resources that were helpful for me when I was applying to and paying for college. I first found out I was undocumented when I was 16, but I didn't really know what that meant. It only became clear to me when I started the process of applying to college that my status was going to be an obstacle. Although I was initially very discouraged and disappointed, I knew that I had worked really hard in high school and that I deserved to go to college. I was very proactive in finding resources both on my campus and online that could guide me. I think it's really important for students to know that there's no federal law that will stop them from applying to college. It's also safe to reveal your status to schools because your student records will never be turned over to any government agency. Another thing that can be difficult for students is figuring out how to pay for college. Since there's no federal financial aid for undocumented students, it's important that students be very proactive in finding scholarships and other things to pay for college. So for myself, one of the things that was really helpful for me in applying to college was AB 540. This is a bill in California that allows students to pay in-state tuition. And this is great because in-state tuition is oftentimes much cheaper than out-of-state tuition. And there are many other states that have similar laws, so it's important for students to be aware of what the rules are in their own state. Another thing that was really helpful for me is the California DREAM Act. This was passed in 2011, and it allows certain students in California to access state financial aid as well as financial aid at their schools. This was great for me because I could finally focus on finding internships and other opportunities for myself instead of always worrying about how I was going to pay for college. There are many other states in the U.S. that have similar rules for undocumented students, so once again, it's very important for students to be knowledgeable and to reach out to their school and see if this is a possibility. Another thing that was helpful for me in paying for college was deferred action for childhood arrivals. This was an executive order signed by President Obama, which protects students from deportation and also grants work permits. So for me, before I had DACA, I had to work every summer and save up a lot of money so that I could pay for the next quarter of college. However, once I had DACA, I could actually find a job on campus in a lab where I was making money to pay for college, but also I was working in a field that I was interested in. DACA is open to many students across the U.S., so it's important you figure out if you're eligible to apply, and if you are, make sure you go ahead and do so. Finally, the last thing that was super helpful for me in applying to college was private scholarships. As soon as I had decided I was going to college, I started looking for scholarships. There are scholarships that are specifically for undocumented students, but I made sure I didn't limit myself. I applied to all the scholarships that I could find. And if there was ever a time that the form said, this scholarship is only for citizens or only for permanent residents, I would call the scholarship and say, I'm undocumented, but I'm very interested in this scholarship and I think I would be a good fit. And in my experience, I found that a lot of scholarships were open to that and would be willing to, grant the money to whoever they thought deserved it. So in my experience, although initially I was, very anxious and scared about applying to college, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to afford it, and I didn't know whether I would graduate. However, since I was so proactive, I was able to make all of those things happen. So my advice for students out there would be to do the same thing, to be proactive. Make sure you apply because there's no harm in doing so. Make sure you're proactive and you reach out to scholarships and to your school and to your support system because there are a lot of people out there who will support you. And if this is something that you really want, you can definitely make it happen.